In a high CO2 world, we'd only be recreating conditions that existed millions of years ago. Why couldn't we go back to that? What could possibly go wrong?
To answer that question, we must answer this question first. What does driving a car and massive volcanic eruptions have in common? They can both put massive amounts of carbon dioxide in the air. They can cause sea ice and glaciers to melt, global temperatures to rise, sea level to rise, and extreme weather. More importantly, what is the difference between the two? Volcanoes are a natural carbon dioxide producer. About 55 million years ago, the Earth experienced a slow warming and then an abrupt, massive release of over 2,000 gigatons of carbon dioxide due to massive volcanic eruptions on the seabed. This caused a 5 to 9 degrees Celsius warming. You can see the spike in the change of temperature on this graph where the red star is. This is called the carbon isotope excursion. In less than 20,000 years, there were crocodiles swimming in Antarctica. Other natural causes, such as the decaying of natural matter and the defrosting of methane hydrates, increases the effect because the methane oxidizes and releases CO2. The Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum was a warming period at its height. Meanwhile, driving cars is a choice people make that could in turn result in the next massive, deadly warming. The debate over whether the current global climate change is a natural occurrence or whether we are on a new, human-caused climate cycle has become very controversial in today's society. Over 31,000 scientists signed a petition saying that, like the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, the current climate change is natural and harmless. This seems like a lot, right? Not compared to the 97% of climatologists that agree that global warming is the cause of human actions. So who are these skeptics?
There is no direct evidence which links 20th century global warming to anthropogenic greenhouse gases.
There is a theological debate that this is a carbon-starved planet.
If we look at climate through the geological time frame, we would never suspect CO2 as a major climate driver. We can't say that CO2 will drive climate. It certainly never did in the past.
The whole global warming business has become like a religion. And people who disagree are called heretics.
One heretic said, "There is no convincing scientific evidence that human release of greenhouse gases is causing or will, in the foreseeable future, cause catastrophic heating of the Earth's atmosphere and disruption of the Earth's climate. Moreover, there is substantial scientific evidence that increases in atmospheric carbon dioxide produce many beneficial effects upon the natural plant and animal environments." It is true that natural climate change fluctuation does occur due to Milankovitch cycles, which are 100,000 years of 90% cooling and 10% warming. Skeptics often find a way to use this data to work against global warming. Really, the cycles are due to the position of the Earth and the effectiveness of solar forcing, and has nothing to do with CO2. When in reality, the cycles work to prove global warming, because according to past trends, we should be in a cooling period, yet temperature is rising, coincidentally starting in the 1800s. The data of warm and cool periods is skewed to make it look like we are at a temperature equilibrium, like in this graph. This is a more accurate representation of the graph. It accurately shows the severity of climate change. But even so, there are so many other proving factors, CO2 is supposed to follow warming, but instead it is leading. There was no similar trigger like volcanic eruptions. The rate is too fast. Atmospheric ratios are changing, and this is just the beginning. The last time carbon dioxide levels were apparently as high as they are today and were sustained at those levels, global temperatures were 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit higher than they are today. The sea level was approximately 75 to 120 feet higher than it was today. Unlike the Paleocene-Eocene thermal maximum, climate change is not natural, but it can lead to the same things: extinction, famine, disease, and death.
The whole thing stinks.